Yes, now, bless now. Don't forget the rest now. Des at King of the Pit TV signing in live and large once again, forever and always. Very first time listening to this entire record. I hadn't heard one song in my entire life from what I'm aware from this record. We're going to be checking out Radiohead. The album is Kid A. This first track is entitled Everything in Its Right Place. At Des Rocksteady on Instagram. Let's talk music. Let's get straight into it. Let's see what Radiohead is saying. Let me just say, I've never really even listened to Radiohead. I've heard the song Creep 20,000 times at open mic nights. I don't want to hear it ever again. And this is Everything in Its Right Place. One love. I find them little. I won't go as far as calling them notes. They may possibly be chords in the background. The tonality of it is very pleasing to me. Whatever's going on. Very nice. Very heavenly. Very angelic. What's the name of the person who fronts this band? I forgot his name, but I know his image. He's got a very striking image, down to his eye, from my opinion. This is sounding very good. The tone of that synth is very buoyant, very floaty. I'm very pleased by what I'm experiencing. This definitely makes a change from the metal music I've been checking out. And it's right, and it's There seems to be a constant fluctuation of the effects that are placed upon the vocal. So it keeps varying as opposed to changing structure as a song would do. Instead, we're structuring the layer of the effect on the vocal. Yesterday I woke up sucking a lemon. Is that the lyric? I can tell by this intro, this record may potentially be very electronic heavy, or at least definitely throwing the synth a bone. Cause we've not. Oh, apologies, it's quite late. We've not introduced the band via. Well, we've not introduced Radiohead as a band. We've introduced it as quite a modernized act, and this wouldn't have been. I don't think this is like a 2010s onwards record. Please collect me. Man, I'm slurring my words. please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this was a 2000s record. I don't think it was as early as a 1990s record, was it? But if it is, that just creates an even further gap as opposed to what I believe the 90s should sound like and what I'm actually hearing. This very modernized electronic synth, um, just tone and sound, really. It's a lovely soundscape. Glitching out now. There's a very light beating in the background, almost like a metronome. It's just very constant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Setting the tempo, sort of giving an air of a beat to what we're listening to, but it sounds almost like a metronome. Coming up to 4.4 million views on this track, by the way. Very cool glitching out. That was a cool introduction. So that was the first track of Kid A, the album we're going to be listening to. That was everything in its right place. Very angelic, very pure. Slightly melancholy in a way, but the ambience and the soundscape has provoked quite a pleasant experience within my brain. Yeah, very good, very good. I don't have much else more to say about that. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into the record. So without further ado, let's move on to track 2.
Yesterday, Lily was wondering if she could ever save enough for her own place.
So, this is entitled Kid A. This is the title track. You're listening to Des Rocksteady, King of the Pit TV, at Des Rocksteady. We're listening to Radiohead's Kid A all the way through, alright? Never heard this before. 444, the title track. So if you're into angel numbers, there's your significant number of the day. Brilliant panning. Great production on this, right? Who produced this record? Like a baby's lullaby melody, right? Wow, what a great audio experience. So we're getting into track 2. Track 1. Now on to track 2. So far, it's been a very tranquil experience. Very pleasing, very pleasing. Very electronic so far. I ain't heard one guitar. brilliant little breakdown here. You see how I knew when them drums were gonna come in, right? That's just due to my knowledge of how music should be structured. Radiohead knows how to structure music and ensure that when it comes in, it's pleasing and acknowledged, even on a subconscious basis, by the listener. That's a really good thing to do because we want to be in communication with the artist and be in communication with the music we listen to. We don't want to be made to feel stupid, right? We've not had one proper clean vocal so far. Oh, actually, I take that back. We did in the earlier tune. We had a clean vocal, but it was still drenched with effect. We're really experimenting with sound so far on this record. This is unlike anything I personally have ever heard before. So this is all very brand spanking new and just a whole new realm to wrap my head around. But I can tell it's been done very well. The production value on this is pretty good. That volume swell, the initial volume swell, was actually quite scary because it was amplifying itself to a point where I thought it was going to really hurt my ears. Um, just stretched the entire dynamic of volume right there. Just came out of the corner of my mind and just swelled till it just completely coated the entire picture as to what was going on. It was very pleasing though, but it did get very intense. Very intense. Bassist is just jamming at this point. Almost like a harmonic ringing there. Wow, that was Kid A, the title track of this record. This isn't what I expected. I thought I'd be hearing band music. One moment. Pardon me. I thought this was gonna be band instrumental. It's not. This is completely different as to what I expected. This is an enjoyable experience. I knew it would be good, regardless, because Radiohead are a very established act. There's definitely a lot of indie heads who like this band and verging on hipster sort of types of people, and I can see why. I can definitely see why. This is good music, but I'm sure it's an acquired taste. You know, would I choose to listen to this sort of stuff? You know what? Maybe when I was younger and I had a little more time, I would. But regardless, let's continue on moving. I'm enjoying the experience. I want to see if the theme continues. Next song is the national anthem.
Well, I'd hope to fight 100, but 10 will do.
Sarah, no.
Yes, now. Des at King of the Pit TV at Des Rocksteady. We're listening to the entirety of Radiohead's Kid A for the very first time. This next song is entitled The National Anthem. Okay, let's get straight into it. Alright, we got a riff now. First riff of the record. Come on. Oh, it's a groove. I bet this is a good live song. Just kick this in after a slow one. Or after an electronic intro as you've had. Bass is just jamming. It's going to sound ridiculous, but there's a parallel to the Stone Roses. Which one is it? She Bangs the Drums. Just with the basses coming in, jamming in on that riff. And I feel a parallel. I'm not going to go into much more detail than that. I just do. I'm finding a reoccurring theme of checking out these well pushed bands. A lot of them sound very organic. A lot of them sound like jam bands. I mean, this bassist is just jamming on the same idea. 1 minute 12 so far. He's not had to go through several ideas and create this incredible virtuoso masterpiece, as some may think, to be a successful act. It may have just been. I assume it had just come up in band practice and they just came together and played the song and wrote the song and recorded the song. That's a recurring theme I've been hearing throughout some of these bands, including Black Sabbath, more notably as of recent. He's got a great voice, got a fantastic voice. Very melancholy voice, but there's a whole world, a whole wealth of youth within his voice. It's very innocent. Like a little boy. song is really groovy. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba, sounds like a brass instrument of some. Is it sax? Oh, this is a good side of experimental music, right? I'm very unfamiliar with bands that sort of verge into this territory in space, but when I think of experimental, by default, I think it's rubbish. What you want about experimental? You shouldn't be experimenting. You should know what you're doing. This is verging on experimental. The amount of effects I've got on the vocal, and the just different ideas and dynamics what we've got going on. Yeah, really good. That sax is grooving. Come on. Ooh, we got more. There's an ever progressive layer. There's an ever booming wall of sound that is being built brick by brick. It's not as cool and calm as initially it was. There's a lot going on right now. And I don't think this is going to last until the end. I think there's either going to be a removal bit by bit, or there's going to be a complete breakdown as to where the bassist is probably still going to be jamming. Maybe even just the drums. Let's see what happens. It was the right thing to do. Where are we going? Great groove. I am in two minds about dissonance of this brass section right now. It's quite spooky. Ooh, go back on that sample there. That's spooky. That sent a shiver down me, man. That sample was proper spooky, man. I didn't think much to that. Well, I did. I liked it, but man, I didn't expect it to be as spooky.
Even the sound is exciting.
I signed up to a pleasant audio experience. Boom. We're moving on to the next track. This one is entitled How to Disappear Completely. You're listening to Des at King of the Pit. TV at Des Rocksteady on Instagram. You know how it is. How to Disappear Completely. I've never heard it before. I've never heard any song of this record, but this one I've heard the title of. So I know this is quite a popular song by Radiohead. 5.6 million views. And it might actually be named after an art piece I saw. A visual. I went to an art gallery and I saw a visual entitled something along the lines of How to Disappear Completely. And it was a very interesting watch. So there you go. Let's get straight into it. A lot of volume swells in this record. Oh, we got an acoustic guitar, clean guitar. It's going to be an emotional one. Oh, is this going to be sad? Is this going to be a really sad song? So let me just say, I apologise for all the pausing, right? But the title is How to Disappear Completely. Already, through the initial tracks, we have sort of come to some notice that they can portray a whole spectrum and palette of feelings and sounds and just manipulate music to a degree, which is a step ahead from most acts, right? This one is entitled How to Disappear Completely, and we've come in with this very sad, minor, slow guitar, acoustic guitar in particular, the organic connection between us and nature. It's made of wood, and we are just playing the strings as we should. This is already setting the tone of what this song is going to be. The title and accompaniment of what I'm hearing right now is creating a presumption that I'm going to feel some sort of way, and in doing so I'm actually already preparing that feeling. If that makes any sense. Maybe it doesn't, but this is my experience, okay people? Quite a busy bass line. Nice vibrato.
That's not me.
Good melody. Could get a call and response on that.
I go.
Good songwriting. You see how the pattern is formed and we already know what's coming next. And then we're going to move to another. Maybe. Now we're cycling through again. I'm trying to be too smart, right? I understand the it's cool, and it adds, it layers, comes in at the right place, but it's a bit extra, bit too powerful, I would say. If we reeled that back a little bit.
I'm not here. This isn't happening. I'm not here. I'm not
Although there is a synth in the background, it's the most organic song we've heard so far on the record. This is track 4, entitled How to Disappear Completely. Even a little tambourine. I'm not here.
This isn't happening.
Hear them strings in the background. I wonder what the production value on this record was. I've gone into this because this was the first record that came up out of a bunch. I know they span a whole world of different sounds per record, but this surely must be a little further down the line because the production value, getting the strings involved and so forth, and the brass in the track prior, there must be a little bit of production value. What record label was this put on?
I'm not here.
This isn't happening.
I'm not here.
There's something about the strings as far as like a string section goes and being emotionally provocative. I think most of it comes down to us not being familiar with hearing that sort of music, that sort of instrumentation in mainstream music and what is fed to us. So the addition of it, especially whilst it's in harmony, don't get me wrong, if they brought it in and it was just all frantic and all over the place, it wouldn't be as striking as it is now. I mean, they really are simply, at this moment was to where a pause, they're just playing a straight chord, right? But it adds such a, I don't know, it adds an incredible emotional element to the track, which just simply wouldn't be there if them strings weren't there. This is a very bleak song. I don't understand the concept of it. Like I said initially, I have seen an art piece entitled How to Disappear Completely, and I don't know if it's based upon that. Um, let me know in the comments if you come across this video and you are aware as to what this was named after. There's a repetition of this isn't happening and I'm not there and so forth. And that reoccurrence is very bleak, it's very dreary. When I heard the first two tracks, I thought this was going to be like based upon a like a more buoyant, ambient, pure sound. But we've just been hit by this incredible truck of an emotional tune. And it's the most listened to song on the record, so far at least.
This isn't happening. I'm not
One thing he's good at is a good falsetto. Great falsetto vocal. Once again, we find the track going a little more dissonant at the end, starting to disorganize and fire in these warped sort of sounds and effects to finalize the end of the track. I don't know as to whether I like that too much. I like things to be very pleasing to the ear, but of course, Radiohead in this particular album, you know, find ideas to please and to discomfort at the same time. Oh. And then we pull it out and get back to the harmony. Slight bit of electric guitar there. How to Disappear Completely by Radiohead Kid A. My first time listening to that. That was very surprising, almost shocking. When I heard the acoustic come in initially, I thought we're probably in for a treat. We were in for a treat, but I didn't expect it to be as dreary as it was. That really is quite a reflective song. I think a lot of people must be listening to this song if they went through some sort of emotional trauma. This is definitely a breakup song for a lot of teenage boys, I can tell you that. Yeah. Wow. Wow. The most powerful song I've heard so far on this record. Yeah, really good. So let's move on. Let's see what's next, people.
Everyone's talking about Licorice Pizza these days, right? That's because it's the movie all the
Licorice
critics are
Pizza.
falling for.
And here they are!
Oh, it's a film. Alright, people. So we're moving on to the next track. This is track 5 of 10 on the album Kid A. First time listening, of course. You're listening to Des at King of the Pit TV, by the way. At Des Rocksteady. I'm sipping on a voddy right now. So, as we progress through the record, please ignore me if I start to slur my words a little more. So, this one's entitled Tree Fingers. And I am starting to see or hear a connection with a band called Porcupine Tree, who turned into like a progressive rock slash metal band, but initially had more of a psychedelic approach and a little more of a, you know, a hippy dippy approach. And they write incredibly sad songs from time to time, okay? And use synth and strings and so forth. And especially in their psychedelic era, used the keys a lot and created a lot of fancy soundscapes. I'm hearing a little bit of that in this record. Obviously, I don't think one influenced the other. Who knows? Maybe they did, but you know, I'm starting to find the parallel between acts I have heard of before, because you know, initially I came into this and the first two tunes I couldn't really connect the dots and experience. It was a completely new experience. So this is Tree Fingers, everyone. Kid A, Radiohead. Lesser views on this than the other tunes I've heard so far, so I won't judge it by that. I'll see what my experience is like. A very harmonic sound. Now, I don't know what the correct term is for this, but being a guitarist, I know about natural harmonics, or at least how they sound, and this replicates what I would consider a natural harmonic. Of course, it's just played on the synth and whatnot, maybe, but it's got that high frequency just right up there. Almost like those, I got a friend who, I don't know the name of the instrument, but she has a bowl, and she rolls like some, I don't know what she rolls in it, some ornament within this bowl, and the bowl resonates and creates a frequency such as what we're hearing now. It's a very slow and beautiful progression of chords. Just allowing the chord to swell ever so slowly and just fill up what you're hearing. I like blowing a balloon up really slowly and watching it expand. Little whale-esque noise there, such as the old David Gilmour. Sounds a little bit like Boards of Canada, if you've ever heard of that act. I've only heard a few tunes, but it reminds me of that sort of soundscape. This is a really good record. This would be a good record to create art to if you were a painter or a sculptor or an illustrator of such. It just gives you space to think and space to just be mindful for a moment, as opposed to most music which is like, look at me, look at me. Okay, that was Tree Fingers. Some may consider that a bridge into the next tune. If this was on a record which didn't sound like what I've heard prior, I would consider that myself, but I have to take it seriously because this is like quite an experimental record as far as my understanding of music goes. I'm too used to people playing blast beats and bloody making a racket or just singing a song in 3 minutes 23 seconds, 120 BPM. So that was Tree Fingers. It was a nice little bridge of the gap for me. Um, as I said, it was a very mindful piece of music. It allowed me to sort of think, and as a musician, as my form of art, I wouldn't be able to work around it too well because obviously I'll be either harmonizing or clashing with the music in the background. But if I was a visual artist, that would be brilliant to work with. Yeah, really good. So let's move on to the next track. Let's see what's going on. Probably get an
Win at
advertisement
work
such
by
as
communicating
Grammarly.
effectively with Grammarly. Grammarly helps
She
you
was
rewrite your
alright, wasn't
sentences.
she? Right. Okay, yes now people. Des at King of the Pit TV at Des Rocksteady. First time listening to Kid A, Radiohead. This tune's called Optimistic. I got some high hopes for this one because the last song we heard nearly put me in a mood. Nearly put me in a bad mood, people. So, Optimistic. I hope it's an optimistic little number. The future is bright. Let's get straight into it. One love. Quite an interesting rhythm on that electric guitar there. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Come on. Very interesting strumming pattern. Proper cool drum rhythm off of them toms. I don't hear anybody playing rhythms like that in regards to local acts and so forth. I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say sheltered, I'm a little more close-minded when it comes to live performances because I don't go out and check out enough bands in varied genres. I sort of stick to what I know, but from what I'm used to, I don't hear many. I've never heard this drum beat in my life, let's be fair. or at least it doesn't seem so, because it seems it's a tom beat, but it's played a lot more full than what I'm used to. So perhaps this drummer has quite a broad kit and can experiment a little more. You tell me. I don't know. Even on a track entitled Optimistic, which may actually not mean optimistic, the frontman comes across as quite frail with his vocal. The falsetto. Have you heard that climbing just there? I thought it was a bass guitar initially, but it climbed to a register, which means it might be a guitar. Might be a bass guitar. Did we have a little gang vocal back there? Sounded almost hooligan-esque. One more. Wow. Wow, the hooligan vocal aside the actual build-up with the drums coming in, that was a great impact. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Something to pay attention to. Speaking to the musicians in particular, is how the guitars in particular have not really gone any further than the initial idea. And I've seen this recurring through many of the first time listens I've done through albums I really should have listened to prior, because they are big and well known for a reason. They don't focus on having incredibly structured, progressive songs. What they do is they have one idea, and it's a great idea, and then they just build upon it in regards to the band, or, you know, the lyrical, or so on and so forth. But they just paint the picture with the one idea, and then the lyrical or the melody atop of that tends to create the journey throughout the song. And of course, if that's developing and moving forward, and you've got something to be hooked onto, storytelling essentially, it creates great music and great art. And that's incredible. That's a reoccurring theme I've come across. Because that guitar's been playing the same thing since the start, right? And I'm a guitarist, so I pay attention to that. Try the best you can. The best you can is good enough. I don't pay too much attention to the lyrics, so is there a morbid twist to this song? Please let me know down below. Maybe I'll find out by the end of the song. Really like that progression. Like that chord progression right there. Really nice. Why does it sound like Jamiroquai at the end? Yeah, they went for a Jamiroquai right there at the end. Optimistic was the name of that track. Not my favourite track on the record, but it was good to hear a song as opposed to like a really heavy synth dominant tune. Anyway, let's move on.
Disney Plus brings you the stories you'd expect, plus the stories you wouldn't.
Yes, now blessed now. Des, King of the Pit TV. We're listening to Radiohead all the way through. This next tune is entitled In Limbo. First time I've ever heard it, let's get straight in. 855,000 views. I assume this is another instrumental. Let's see. Maybe not. I'm in two minds right now because the crawling sounds a bit busy for me. It's a bit clustered, but I do like the single plucked at top of that. Conflicting feelings. This is almost a confused song. I'm lost at sea. I'm lost at sea, don't bother me. I'm lost at sea. 4 syllables. Don't bother me. 4 syllables. Perfect mirror. Nice and catchy. Same melody either way. Come on. Sounds like one of my cats purring that. That was In Limbo. Was it my favourite tune? Nah, it wasn't my favourite tune off of this record. It was pretty cool. I like the lyrical ideas. I like the blip, 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 the higher register guitar. The actual guitar that was going on creating the progression of the song. It was a little busy for my liking, but well, not only was it a little busy, it was a little bit of a darker sound, which I came into this record with a first impression that it was going to be like a lighter, pure, angelic record. So the more of that, the better for me in general, as opposed to just in this record. I do like more so of that. I know I've come into Radiohead and they have a lot more of a bleak, a depressive aspect to them at times. So let's move straight on to the next tune. Yes, now bless now people. Des, King of the Pit TV, signing in at Des Rocksteady on Instagram. Let's talk music. We're listening all the way through Radiohead's Kid A. This one is entitled Idiotech. I'm sipping on a voddy, so don't mind me. Let's get straight into it. First time listen. Little two bomb. Is that a snare I'm hearing? Tss, tss. Whatever the dominant drum is that's playing in that beat has a trail of what sounds like a egg shaker. Yeah, that panning right there. Some cool harmonies. Potentially the first time we've heard vocal harmonies in this entire record. Ice Age coming. So we've gone from the little harmony to now we've actually got dual vocals going on. So there's a repetition of that melody behind this, what I would consider chorus melody. The higher register frequency tends to stand out a little more. That's why Baby's Crying in a higher frequency is going to sound better than a babe. Well, it's going to sound, it's going to break through our psychology a little more so than a baby crying at a normal audacity. All right, so we tend to hear choruses in a higher register as opposed to a high register verse moving into a low register um, chorus, and so forth. So I'm associating these higher register sections, these back and forths, as chorus sections essentially. Very haunting vocal. Very haunting vocal. A little bit of a crybaby. Very emotional vocal. Definitely when played right, it makes complete sense and can really captivate first and foremost, and then touch the listener in an emotive manner. On a side note, also has a very good vibrato to his vocal. Wow. Ooh. Boom. I can't capture them bumps there. Incredible groove. I can't catch up with them root notes hitting, but the snare is just just constant. Like a stick of dynamite sizzling away there. Very interesting tune that. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It wasn't the best on the record though. I would like to hear the frontman perform a song in this vocal as to which it's more uplifting and feel good. I'd like to see if it was possible because, as I said, got a very haunting vocal. Let's move on to the next track. See what's next.
Your work can feel much smoother with Monday.com WorkOS. This smooth.
Yes, now people. Des signing in. Morning Bell. First time I've ever heard it. First time listening through to Radiohead today. Des at King of the Pit TV at Des Rocksteady on Instagram. Let's jump straight into it. Morning Bell, everyone. Fade in from the last track happening here. Really like the triplet on the snare there. Initially I thought it might have been a snare roll, it's so fast. I guess it is a snare roll to an extent. Wow. Wow. Brilliant melody. Brilliant melody, one of my favourite melodies I've heard so far.
You can keep the furniture, bump on the head, on down the chimney. Release me.
I can't hit that frequency.
Release me. Release me.
The natural organic vocal atop of this synthetic sound which is going on in the background is a great contrast. There is a divide. It's not like we are creating a complete circle of involvement. We are creating a wall between the two as to where the vocal operates in a different space to the actual instrumental. But it sounds good. It's not a bad thing.
Where'd you park the car? Close your
Got some real instruments in it. And out.
Got the kids there. Got the kids there.
Wow, like, I'm curious. In the previous Radiohead records, what was going on? I'm gonna have to check them out purely as I can see why a record label would take this band on. I mean, they're incredibly inventive and the production value is brilliant, but why a record label would choose to invest their money in something which may not reach commercial success? Because this is a very niche act, a very niche sound, as I said, very experimental. So it may not reach the market that a label needs. Yet they happen to do it. Radiohead are incredibly massive. You don't need telling, but I'm very interested in I'm very interested in how they did it and how they reached the people and how they created such a legacy through music such as this, in all fairness. No disrespect, it's just abnormal, you know? Twinkling guitars coming in. A lot of volume swells in this record. I like that. I like that a lot. Ooh, that bass tone is... It's pretty sexy, I'm not gonna lie to you. I like that. Yeah, the bell tone on the synths alongside that bass line. Let's move on to the next track, the last track, people. Alright, we're coming to the end of our full lesson and listen to Radiohead's Kid A. This is motion picture soundtrack. Never heard it before, as I haven't the rest of the tunes. 3 minutes 20 till the end of the record. Let's see what we got in store. One love, people. Wedding-esque. Church organ.
Sleeping pills help me get back to yours. Cheap sex and sad films help me get where I belong. I think you're crazy.
We're staying very straight and narrow as far as the melody goes, vocally, at this moment in time. He does a brilliant job of remaining dreary and borderline miserable in his vocal performance. I wonder if he can help that, because obviously you're just born with your vocal tone. You can't really be somebody else when you start singing. But his vocal tone always seems like very... Has he got an upbeat tune? Let me know in the comments if there's an upbeat Radiohead song I should listen to, please. Vocally upbeat.
I think you're crazy.
Very powerful sound to me at this moment. The synth and the lyric just match together, and it's almost like a wedding ceremony as far as the instrumental goes.
Stop
We're in heaven. Heaven's harps. Wow. Yo, I just said Heaven's Harps. I'm making a note of that. That's a song title, that. Spooky. I will see you in the next life. Has he just drifted out of the record? I think he has. Wow. Okay. So there we go. I've just listened to Radiohead's Kid A record for the very first time in its entirety in my entire life. What's my opinion? My honest opinion is it wasn't as good after the fourth track. How to Disappear Completely. From there, it never reached that peak from there. It struggled to do so. There was a lot of filler. It was, you know, what can I say? What can I say? You came along the journey with me. All of the tracks, which were like 800 odd thousand views and so forth, there's a few good moments, but they were the filler tracks. They were the filler tracks. The ones in the millions, good tunes, good ideas. It, there's such a broad spectrum of ideas that is going on throughout this record. I think it's brilliant. I like the length of it. I like the song lengths. Nothing too overdrawn, nothing too short. I enjoyed the record for what it was. It's not my cup of tea. It's a bit slow moving for me, but I enjoyed what I heard. How to Disappear Completely, even though it was completely miserable, right? I wouldn't choose to listen to that. I enjoyed it the most out of this record purely because out of nowhere it just hits you in the face with this emotional value, and that impact is just something else. Really good, really good. I wouldn't choose to listen to music that makes me feel down in the dumps. Aside from checking out new music on this channel, but that was like the most emotive song. So without further ado, I'm signing out, people. That's Des, King of the Pit TV. You know what to do. Click subscribe at Des Rocksteady. I'm signing out. One love.